everyone, and welcome to or welcome back to Stitches Past 5. My name is Vera, and today I'm going to do another podcast where I talk about everything that's going on in my knitting life at the moment. I'm going to share some of the projects that I've recently finished, which there aren't too many of at this point in time because I did just come back from a trip. I'll talk about what I'm currently making and some of my recent acquisitions and what's in the plans of maybe in the next few weeks or months what I'm hoping to make. I was traveling the last week and a half or so. I did go to Scotland, which was an amazing holiday, but that also just meant that a lot of my bigger projects had to stay at home because I don't want to be making a big sweater when I'm traveling with carry-on, but I did take some smaller projects along, and yeah, I was just happy to be in a new place, see new things. Scotland is also a really big wool country, which was kind of fun. Surprisingly, there weren't that many yarn shops along the way outside of the cities, and even in the cities I didn't feel that there was a really big yarn shop culture. The whole Scottish wool and Scottish knits were a big thing, but weirdly you weren't able to buy that much yarn. I kind of had to go out of my way to get some yarn. I did bring back some yarn, so I will show you that at the end. But first, I'll get into my current or my recently finished project. But this time I don't really have a full big new sweater to show off, kind of. But I do have some individual socks that I finished recently. So in my last podcast, I believe I showed that I had just casted on for this sock. This is a single strand knitted sock with ribbing all throughout the top and ribbing at the top of the foot but not at the bottom of the foot, and the ribbing also continues all the way down the heel. This pattern is from Kutovakika's Knit This book, and I believe these are the Love Heart socks or Heart This socks. Sorry. I think there's two socks in the book, and this is the one with the love heart. Now I modified the pattern a little bit in that I added two stripes at the top, and I didn't add the love heart just because this is going to be a gift. I haven't made the second one yet because I'm not sure I love the way this turned out with the stripes in particular. As for the wool I used the Hobbii Sock Wool. That's just available on the Hobbii website from their home brand, and I don't know if it's the wool that I'm not the biggest fan of. It's a typical sock yarn, so I don't want to point fingers at a poor yarn. Maybe it was my color choice. It's essentially wool and nylon blend, as are most sock yarns as they're sold. But there's just something about this, especially when it's worn, that I don't fully love. And I might actually try to cut it and then add on this part again without the stripes, because maybe that will make it a little bit nicer. It is also, I find that it's a little bit tight on my foot. So this is gonna be a gift for someone with similar foot size as me. But it is just a little bit tight. I think it starts with a 54 in the round, and I did meet gauge for this. So this is the way the pattern is written. Maybe I just have big feet. I know I have big feet or wide feet. But yeah, I'm not really sure. 100% love it. I of course still wanted to show it because the pattern was super easy to follow. I think it's really fun with the ribbing, but I think I don't know if I'll make a second one. I'm not sure. I still wanted to show it though, so that's my first semi-finished item. I guess a singular sock you can't really call it a finished project, but the sock is done, so there it is. Then I thought, okay, if I still had lots of this yarn, so I wanted to kind of try out holding it double and making a thicker sock, and this is the result of that. So this is also a ribbed sock. I think it's 3 and 1 ribbing, so 3 knits, 1 purls ribbing, whereas the other one was 2 by 2, and this one is the tip sock, also by Kutovakika, and this is the other sock pattern that's in there. And weirdly enough, this is knit on 4mm needle, whereas the other one was on a regular sock needle, the 5 needles double pointed, and this was on a circular 4mm needle. I did meet gauge for this one as well, and yeah, it's very thick. It turned out like really fun, like the pattern calls for the color change at the top, at the bottom. And this is also, I just have one. I haven't made the second one again because I'm not sure I'll make the second one. I probably will for this one, just because I'll also give this one to someone else and just kind of, yeah, hope that they like it. Yeah, but this one is the same wool, so it's the Hobbii sock yarn held double. And yeah, I don't know what else there is really to say about this. Here I held like these two colors of the other sock double, like one strand each, and then of course the rest is in the dark brown, and this lighter color I think is the oat color, or I think it's undyed or oat, but I'll try to keep it, have everything linked below. So yeah, this is my second item, also a sock. As you can see, I'm into sock knitting at the moment, mainly because I am making this advent calendar, so I need small things to go into it. So yeah, this is another finished item. So I guess two socks, they're not matching, they're different patterns. But yeah, this one fits really well. So that's the nice thing about this one. It's not really tight. I think it's just like it has a lot of give as well with the ribbing, and it's just like a really nice thick winter sock, like woolen. This will definitely keep your feet warm in the winter. So yeah, I'll be making the second one and then probably show it to you again as like a finished pair of socks. Okay, and then on the topic of socks, or works in progress that are socks, I did start a third one because I really wanted to make sure that it wasn't the wool that I didn't, or that I disliked for this sock. And so I started this one here, which is essentially just like a really basic stockinette sock. This one has a German short row heel, which I've never done with a sock, and that was a really fun new experience. The other socks that I showed, they have like the flap and gusset, I think it's called, like with this thing and this thing. And yeah, I mean, I've made so many socks and I kind of just like figured out my own way of making a heel. I don't know what would be called. But this is a new one and I really kind of love making it. And as you can see, it's not fully done yet, but it's about to be done probably, I mean, realistically tonight or tomorrow. And I did a 2x2 ribbing at the top. I loosely followed a pattern that's for free, that I just found somewhere on the internet. I'll try to link it below. But mind you, I'm not really following the pattern because my gauge is completely different. With this thin sock yarn, this is again the Hobbii sock yarn, I cast it on 60 stitches, and I think the pattern calls for like half to 2/3 of those stitches to start with. So I kind of used it to shape the heel like that. I did use the pattern for, but the rest I'm just kind of going with my own dimensions and knowledge of knitting socks. But this one's almost done and I really love this one. So I think it might just be like the stripes that I don't love about this one. I'm trying to figure it out. But this one I really like. It has the ribbing, it's really cute. I love the color, like a neutral beige color. And yeah, definitely will be making the second one and probably also be gifting this one because yeah, maybe I'll keep it for myself, who knows. So yeah, that's my third, and I promise this is the last sock I'll show you today. Work in progress. Okay, so then my next work in progress, which I talked about starting during my last podcast, is this one. And this is the one I didn't take on my trip, where the socks I kind of made on my trip just kind of as we were driving, you know, through Scotland when the roads weren't too windy and I was able to knit. I kind of made the socks. I just like traveling with something smaller. But the big project kind of that I left at home looks like this at the moment. So it doesn't look like much, but essentially it is the bottom up pullover by Kutovakika. Now in my last podcast I shared that I actually wanted to make a different pattern from this yarn, but I changed my mind because I think the finishings off of the Kutovakika pattern are a bit nicer in my opinion. It just has like the ribbing like as a finishing, where the other one just had like the curled up edges where you don't do any ribbing and then it kind of naturally curls up. This is the I'm just looking it up, it's called the Cloud Sweater by Kutovakika, and I'm making it in this really beautiful color. I love this color so much already. I'm so excited about this. I'm making it on 5mm needles, with this yarn, which is the Friends Silk, which I shared in my last episode as well as one of my acquisitions. And this is the Hobbii Friends Silk yarn. And I picked this royal blue and this navy blue color, and I'm holding them double, and it's just giving this really, really, really beautiful deep blue. I really hope the camera picks it up with these like lighter streaks through it, but also some darker. I'm so excited. I've never really made like a pure mohair or silk combination sweater, and I'm not super like used to like a really loose like stitch definition, but so far I'm loving it. I'm super excited for this to be done. And once the days get a little bit colder, right now it's still pretty hot, but once the days get a little bit colder, I'm already looking forward to wearing this you know, on summer evenings or even at the office throughout the day if I don't drop it beforehand. But yeah, so this is my current big work in progress. I'm really happy. It's working up relatively quickly. I mean, it's 5mm needles, but the yarn is obviously like very thin. And yeah, it is a bottom-up sweater with like quite a big chunk of ribbing at the top, and then yeah, we'll go from there. I think maybe I'm halfway through, maybe not really, because I need sleeves as well, but we'll see. Maybe it'll be done by the next episode that I film. The last work in progress, usually I don't have this many work in progress going on at the same time. I mean, usually I'm really like, I work on one thing and then I finish it and then I work on the next thing kind of person. But just with traveling and like leaving stuff at home, there's just kind of a lot going on at the moment. I planned on making the socks, then I didn't love the socks I made, then I started like so many new different socks. And in between I was like, I can't do a sock anymore, I need something else. So I made these gloves. So the second one, I mean, it's almost done. It's really close to being done. This is also a pattern by Kutovakika. It is actually originally called the Lollipop pattern, the Lollipop Mittens pattern. But as you can see, I made it in just one color. Yeah, just because this is a gift from my brother and I don't think he'd appreciate like pink and yellow stripes. I would love them for myself, but I think for him this is the more appropriate color choice. The yarn I'm using is the Drops Air yarn. It's this one. I talk about this all the time. I do like this yarn, although it does have some pros and cons to it, but I'm making it I'm using it to make these knit mittens. I am using a relatively like small needle, so it's a 4mm size needle for this yarn, and it's giving this lovely like really thick fleecing, or like, I don't want to say felting because it's obviously not felting, but like thick fleece felt effect that I think is a really good choice for gloves, because when it gets cold in the winter, like you want something that's like tight and nice and cozy around your fingers. And yeah, it's essentially like a long part in ribbing at the bottom, which is then folded over double, and it's a really simple glove design. Essentially you just knit up, leave a thumb hole, and then finish up the top, finish up the thumb. And yeah, this one I didn't finish because I only had one skein of this with me because I was trying to travel light, so I thought it would get me through the 2 gloves, but it didn't quite. But that's fine. I'll also finish this pretty quickly, probably in an evening in front of the TV. Yeah, so that's my last work in progress. Thank goodness. I'm already like at a point where I'm kind of stressing. I'm like, there's so many things that I haven't finished. I just need them done, but I'm sure they will get done in due time. Yeah, I understand it's really weird to be making these thick mittens in the middle of summer, but this is a gift from my brother, like I said, and I'm only seeing him in September and then not again, so I want to give them to him then. And that's why I'm making gloves in summer. But it actually turned out like a good thing to make, because we were camping in Scotland and it was so cold. Could you not? We were literally wearing this one glove like alternating because this one wasn't done. And it was really nice to have this one because it gave us a little bit more warmth, because it was freezing cold in Scotland. I mean, I understand that Scottish summers are not warm, but I didn't expect it to be this cold, so kind of came in handy, this one glove. I felt like Lenny of Mice and Men, who like wore that one glove always. I think that was Lenny. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you get the reference, you know what I'm talking about. But that was our Scotland glove for warmth, and the second one is in the making. Now, I've talked about Scotland quite a few times. I took the opportunity when I was there to check out some of the yarn shops. It wasn't actually as easy as I had hoped, because we were on a road trip and it's really hard to coordinate times, specifically opening times of shops when you're driving around, and like obviously I'm with other people. I'm not going to make this holiday about me going to a yarn shop. But we got to Edinburgh and we had 2 days there, so I did visit one of the yarn shops there. This one was called Bee Inspired Fibres and it's in the south of Edinburgh, but it is definitely at a walkable distance. So if you're ever in Edinburgh, I would really recommend you check this one out. From what I understood, there's like 3 yarn shops kind of all at different ends of the city, which is a bit of a shame because you kind of then have to choose, if you only have limited time, which one you want to go to. We chose this one just because it had the opening times that when we were there that suited our schedule, our traveling schedule. And yeah, I kind of briefly looked at pictures before going and it looked pretty decent, pretty nice, and that's exactly how it was. They had a lot of variety, not as much Scottish wool as I would have expected a yarn shop in Scotland to have, but then I learned that the Scottish, I think it's called like the Highland or Shetland wool. Yeah, the Shetland wool is actually pretty rough. So they had a lot of the wool, like a specific type or like a few different like thicknesses as well. And it was just a very, like, it was a scratchy wool, I'm not gonna lie, right? And that's also what I had read online, is that it's scratchier than merino. It's just a bit rougher. I mean, Scotland's a very rough country. I don't blame the sheep like growing more and thicker hair, right? Because it's super cold. But then I decided I'm not gonna buy that wool just because I thought a sweater, it would have been beautiful and like it's just a really thick wool sweater, but me or my partner who I'm gonna make the sweater for with the wool that I ended up buying instead, it's just not super nice to have something scratchy. So I thought I found a pretty good alternative, which is this fleece blue-faced Leicester British wool. So I guess Leicester is in England, not in Scotland, but I thought, you know, I want to buy something local, and if I don't love the local wool, I'm okay with going a little bit further away. So yeah, it is this beautiful like bluish gray color that the shop had, and yeah, it's by the West Yorkshire Spinners, and it is 100-gram skein, which came at around, I think it was around 12 or 13 pounds per 100 grams. So I think it's around like 15 euros USD per 100 grams, which I think is a really fair price for being like a local yarn from a local yarn shop. Now you can probably get it cheaper online somewhere, like the British wool, but I just liked also going and supporting the cute little local shop with a lady who was lovely and she helped out wonderfully, and she was just, you know, very happy that we were there as well, which I think is always really sweet, like when you're at a shop. I bought 500 grams of this because that is all they had, and I'm gonna try to make a men's sweater out of it. So I'm gonna really hope that it's enough. If not, no worries. She said we could order it, and like we travel to the UK semi-frequently, so we can order it to somewhere there and then bring it back. So I'll try to figure out if I have enough for a sweater for this one first, and then hopefully not need to order something, but we might. So yeah, really happy with this one. This is not for myself though, so I wanted to bring back something for myself as well. And then what I found was this one, which is the Machita, I don't know, superwash merino wool essentially. And I got 2 skeins of this. These are 100-gram skeins as well. They did cost a little bit more, so these were around 15 pounds, around 18-ish, 17, 18, I guess, euros per 100 grams, which is like a little bit more the price you said, but I think still it's really fine. It's reasonably priced. Yeah, this is 384 meters with a 26 like gauge, so it will go pretty far. And it's this beautiful like purpley blue. It shows up more blue on camera than purple, but it's like a purpley blue, like kind of like a shaded hand-dyed yarn. And I'm not 100% sure what exactly I'll make of this. I have 200 grams of it, so either maybe a vest or like a nice shawl or like a neck warmer or something like that. But we will see. I'm really excited. This one is not local. This one is made in Peru, so this one I ditched the local wool for a second. You know, bought a lot of British wool as well. So I just really like this color and what it felt like. So I thought it was a good purchase. So we'll see what I make out of this one. Okay, so I think hand in hand with the acquisitions are what I'm planning to make, and the only thing that's planned right now is literally finish all these socks, which is, yeah, kind of a bit of a mindless project. Usually for me, I mean, socks are pretty easy, or put it this way, basic socks are pretty easy once you figure it out. Like once you understand the heel, once you understand like the toe, it's not really surprising. You're always making two, so like you kind of learn with the first one if it's something new, and then with the second one it's kind of like, okay, just take it and go. So finishing the socks is on my list of things to do, things to knit. And then the second one, of course, is making this sweater. I'm not really sure yet what pattern. I really want to make the petite knit quarter zip pattern, but the gauge doesn't match up at all. So what I might need to do is like pick the XXL size and like do the maths to make it into like a men's medium, which is the size I need to make. But depending on how that maths work out, I will or will not make like the petite knit quarter zip. If not, I'll find another pattern somewhere online and I'll share that with you as soon as I make it or have made it. But yeah, so those are my projects that I've been working on, a little bit all over the place, at least it feels like in my head, just because, yeah, of all the traveling. It's summer, but it's also like kind of late summer, so I'm not gonna sit down and start making summer tops again because they'll probably not be finished by the time it's still really hot, or at least where I live. And yeah, so it's kind of this transition phase of traveling, of seasons changing or changing soon, but I think we're all kind of like in that boat at different times, depending on where we live, so I think it's all part of it as well. Yeah, and then at the same time I'm still working, so each year my brother and I, we make each other a advent calendar, and I like to kind of buy some things but also fill it with home or self-made things, and they have a little cute pug, so I'm gonna make like, I recently got the Tom Daly knitting and crocheting book, and he has this dog like poncho, like hood. So I think I'm gonna try to knit that out of like an easy washable cotton yarn, just as like a fun gift that their pug can then wear at Christmas. I think, yeah, not everyone wants to dress their dog up, but Tom Daly has a pattern, so I'm gonna make it and hope that it fits my brother's dog. So that's kind of like a fun project on the side, that I'll start once the socks are done, because my mind needs to clear up first. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching. Yeah, if you like this, I hope you stick around. I'd love for you to subscribe and maybe give it a thumbs up. Yeah, leave a comment below. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.